Good morning, Goose.
Howdy folks, and welcome back to Goose Unlimited. I'm your host Jay. Today we're going to continue the conversation on lapping your scope rings. If you remember in our previous video, we discussed reasons to lap your scope rings, reasons not to lap your scope rings. And whenever we checked the rings for this LR308 project, we figured out that the alignment bars were spot on and we didn't actually need to lap these. I went on to mention that we were going to show you a video that I had recorded previously for lapping scope rings. The video that we're about to watch was one that I recorded a couple of years ago whenever I was taking the Sonoran Desert Institute certificate for gunsmithing. And in this video I created a jig using a wood stock that didn't go to anything that I have, mounted the rail, figured out what the eye relief was going to be for the optic, and then lapped the rings. I cut out some stuff at the beginning, which was covered in the previous video, and I cut out a bunch of stuff that's at the end, which is going to be in our next video for our actual project. One of the things that I forgot to mention in the previous video was that another reason to lap your rings is if whenever you're mounting your optic, if you've got excessive gap between your upper and lower rings, you can actually lap the rings to close that gap. Now the risk of doing this is that if you lap the rings too much, you're going to make it to where this ring, or the rings will, you tighten them down, they're not actually going to hold the tube of the scope if you lap it too much. And so lapping your rings just to close that gap really isn't something that I recommend, although it's something that can be done.
Once we got this set up, secured it into the vise, it's always recommended to use soft jaws on a vise. I didn't have soft jaws, so I padded it with rags. So the first thing that we did once into the jaws is we leveled the scope mount, which is a little off there. I'm going to readjust that and I'll be right back. Okay, with that final adjustment we got the scope rail mounted level. So now that we've got the scope rings secured to the rail, we're going to use the alignment bars one at a time. I'm just going to slide them in here and tighten them down. So we've got those in. Now what we're looking for is for these 2 points to touch each other, or be, not necessarily touch each other, but be perfectly in line with each other. We're pretty close to it. And looking here, those are pretty close. Left to right, pretty close up and down. They're not perfect. So we're going to lap it and see if we can get a better alignment. So before you actually lap, you want to mark the tops of your rings with orientation. So we've got front and forward, rear and forward, so I know exactly which one goes where and what direction it's supposed to face before I remove these scope rings. So then we're going to apply some lapping compound to the inside of the rings. Once you've got that there, you can take your lapping bar, place it in the rings, and then replace your ring tops. Make sure that you keep the orientation correct. And then you're going to tighten it down. You're not going to tighten it down too tight, but just tight enough that you are able to move the lapping bar. Alright, we're able to move it there. Now when you're actually doing the lapping, you go up and down. Oh, it's a little too tight still. So when you're doing the lapping, you want to go up and down as well as back and forth. But you can want to make sure that you don't lap too much and remove too much material. Once you do this, you're going to just check your progress. When you get to about 80 to 90% of the anodized finish off the rings, then you should be good to go. So you can't really see it, but on the right corner there's a little bit of the finish missing. Not very much at all. It really didn't lap very much material at all. So we're going to keep going. There we go again. Like I said, tighten it down a little bit more. Alright, we're going to check again and do more lapping if we need to. If not, we'll clean it up. So here you can see after doing some lapping and cleaning it up, we've got, I don't know, probably 2/3 of that one done. Only maybe half of that, maybe 3/4 of that one, and 2/3 of that. So it can stand to be lapped a little bit more. So we're going to do it again, clean it up again, and see where we're at. Alright, so I've gone through the process again. The bottom rings, there's almost no finish left on them. The top rings, interesting enough, on opposing corners still has finish, but a nice... I'm going to call it good for now. We're going to double check it, see if the bars line up, and then we'll go from there. Now with the alignment bars in place, it's almost perfect. I need a magnifying glass or something to see how much it's off. So we're going to call it good. We're finished with the lapping. Now we'll mount the scope.
There you have it, folks. That's how you lap scope rings. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I look forward to sharing additional videos with you. The next video we are going to get into setting the eye relief on your scope, mounting it in the proper position on the rifle, and then leveling the scope to the bore of the rifle. And after that we'll go on into videos on zeroing the firearm, grouping, and so on. Once again, thank you for watching, and if you've been with me since the beginning, I really appreciate your support. You guys have a good day.
See you later, Goose.